Forbes India and ServiceNow present the COO Collective.
Hello and welcome to Forbes India presents ServiceNow, the COO Collective. I'm Ridu Bhandari. With the rapid growth of artificial intelligence, businesses across industries are transforming how they serve customers. A ServiceNow report reveals that slow customer service cost the Indian economy about $55 billion just last year. Today, it's no longer just about meeting customer needs, it's about anticipating them in real time. By harnessing artificial intelligence, companies can not only resolve issues faster, but also innovate for the future, staying ahead and competitive. So today, our theme is customer experience in the age of AI, harnessing data to anticipate and meet customer needs. And I'm delighted to be joined by a panel of eminent industry experts. Let me welcome from my far right, Raju Dodthi, COO of L&T Finance, Rao,
Hi.
COO of Sify Technologies, Melissa Ries, APAC Chief Operating Officer and Group Vice President at ServiceNow. On my left, Vishal Dhuper, Managing Director, South Asia at NVIDIA, and Nikesh Gupta, COO of Aditya Birla Finance. Gentlemen, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us here today. It's a pleasure to have you all on the COO Collective. AI, we've been talking about it for a while now. Vishal, if I can start with you with a little bit of the macro picture and context setting. NVIDIA, of course, is a leader in AI infrastructure. How do you envision artificial intelligence really transforming customer service in the Indian landscape, especially when it comes to reducing wait times and resolving issues faster? Because we heard that data point right in the beginning, losing a lot of money to longer wait times.
Indeed. I mean, if we are losing 15 billion hours, time is money, money is time. It's very important that that period of time, that when everybody's waiting, can we apply it truly to some of our grand challenges? And grand challenges India has. If we look through the lens of education, one teacher for 10,000 students, one doctor for 15,000 Indians, and then agriculture, which is dramatically different than rest of the world. We're talking about small parcels. We're talking about agriculturists who have their own dialect, their own language. How do they really take advantage of that? So instead of waiting, if we were to apply AI, which is basically your co-partner, your assistant, your co-pilot, call it what you like, to these problems, I believe that we will be able to unravel some of these problems. Now, why would we be able to unravel these problems is fundamentally in last 12 to 14 years, there are two transformative things that stand above everything else that's happened in AI. The number one is the transformer, not your transformer which went off, but the transformer in AI. And this transformer, what is helping us to do is to basically understand the representation of anything that has a structure. Need not only be the language, it could be protein structure, it could be amino acid structure. And because of the scale of the representation and our understanding, we're able to solve many problems. Second, and very importantly, in last couple of years, we can go from one particular methodology or modality to another modality. You can go from text to audio, audio to video. You can go from text to proteins. Think about it, that you are at a stage where you can manufacture intelligence. And you can manufacture intelligence in the modality that you want, in the time span that you want. And that waiting that was getting wasted now becomes productive.
Yes, so clearly lots to be done, huge untapped potential there, and there are some use cases that all of you are exploring, and we're going to come to those. But Melissa, ServiceNow's report also highlights a growing trust for AI when it comes to customer service in particular. How can businesses then further enhance this trust and ensure that AI-driven services actually provide very accurate and personalized experiences which are almost human-like, and how far away are we from that experience?
Well, we've been trying to use AI in customer service for some time, but really Gen AI is the iPhone moment for all of us. And many of our customers are starting their Gen AI journey by really looking at their customer service agents. This is an opportunity to build trust in the results and the model with humans that work in your organization. So things like some of the typical use cases that we're seeing are around case summarization, knowledge requests, and really strong search capability. Companies like British Telecom, the oldest telecommunications company, have been using our Gen AI solutions for customer service. They've seen a reduction in the time to read the case notes and prepare by 55% for their agents. They've also seen a reduction by 55% in terms of taking the first action, and then 35% in terms of resolving the issues faster. So Gen AI is the iPhone moment.
Yes, well, we're going to come to what each of you are doing with Gen AI as well. But just to get started, Raju, the financial services space in India has really been a front runner when it comes to digitalization. A lot of digital transactions taking place. We have the UPI, which has taken India and put it on the world map when it comes to digitalization. How are you harnessing AI in areas like real-time credit risk assessment? How are you predicting consumer behavior? What sort of outcomes are you getting? And, when it comes to consumer behavior, anything shocking that AI has told you recently?
So actually, when I was talking to you a while ago, my understanding of this particular discussion was that I would focus largely on the customer's service angle. And we are in the business of banking and finance, being a lending entity. And I was wondering what would be the service standards from the customer's side that I would focus on. But a penny dropped when you spoke the word called underwriting. And then I realized, and what Vishal just now mentioned, that underwriting piece actually is the one when the customer service begins. And I was just actually focusing on one experience of my own life. When I took my two-wheeler loan for the first time, immediately after I had graduated, I had spent 7 days to complete the documentation and prove to the other side how I am an eligible borrower. And I visited my two-wheeler dealer last month in the northern part of India. The loan was sanctioned in flat 3 minutes. So that is the power of AI, which has already become an example for all of us. So you are very right from the time a customer selection in the ecosystem of the lending to all the way the money is coming back to the lender. In each of these cycles, there is an involvement of AI that is happening. The specific answer to your question on the underwriting, today the triangulation of multiple touch points, be it you are looking at a bureau, and that is one of the blessing that has happened in India's financial system, from where you pull the data, all the way to analyzing all the banking statements by use of AI and the necessary software that is deployed in that. We are in a position to assess a customer's credibility in a fraction of a time. So there is a huge revolution that has already happened there.
Fantastic. Good to hear that. CR, if we come to Sify Technologies. Now, of course, digital infrastructure is really important to power everything that AI has to do for a business, including cloud technology or data centers playing a critical role there. So are there do's and don'ts for enterprises that are looking to harness AI, particularly in the customer experience area? And what's your advice to them when it comes to long-term technology investments?
As far as my knowledge goes, AI still, I think it has to take a shape. First step, what happened is digitization has happened in most of the enterprises. People are moving towards it. Second step is, of course, it depends on each of the business lines, what business they are in. But one thing, definitely for customer service, AI will help you. Number two, customer service. In customer service, I want to break it into two parts. One is, I think, customer, when he has a problem, will come back to you. The problem can be some downtime somewhere, some machine failed or whatever it is. Number two, when he is not getting the resolution faster as he expects. So there are two things here. One, for fixing my internal, be it a network or a data center, how well I do my operations. For that, I want to use a predictive AI. which I started doing some of the parts in my organization. And number two, when it comes to customer, it has to be a generative AI. In generative AI, how well you can understand the customer. The difference between AI and an agent. Suppose a customer service agent is there. It takes some time for him to understand because he has to listen to the customer, what he's saying. He'll apply his mind, then he'll give a solution. Whereas in AI, I think everything is backed up by data. It's nothing, but artificial intelligence is what? It's nothing but you are making a machine to simulate a human brain there and think like a human and act like a human, but much faster.
All right. Nikesh, coming to you as well now. In financial services, trust, transparency, extremely important. There's a lot of sensitive customer data that you're dealing with. At Aditya Birla Finance, how are you harnessing AI to enhance the customer journey, right from onboarding to issue resolution? How do you ensure speed and accuracy while also keeping safety and privacy at the core?
Very important. I think it's a great question. I think we are taking great pride that we are using AI, machine learning, generative AI in a big way. So for the last 2 years, a lot of case studies are there. Start from the onboarding, selection of clients, and once the client is onboarded, how the journey can be simplified. If I remember, 10 years back, people used to talk about the procedures, policies. Then people are talking about data. Now people are talking about insights, right? So we are using those insights to help us how we can streamline, make the process frictionless. But we need to remember we are in the business of finance, okay? So we need to decide two things that, we have to select customer who has the ability to pay and customer has the intent to pay. Those two things are very important. I think this is where also machine is helping us, where it is helping us, customer pass credential, bureau, and we are blessed to be in India at the right time, I believe the great digital infrastructure is there. My previous job, I was handling operations for about 72 countries, and most of the countries were lacking that kind of infrastructure, be it Aadhaar card, faster payment, IMPS payment. I think for some of the countries in the Middle East, in Africa, even in the Europe also, it's not there. So I think we are using the infrastructure very well, onboarding, selection of clients, how we can simplify the journey, and then post-client experience. So like whether customer is calling at my inbound contact center, email desk, chat bot, everything we are using it. Then data, how data can be used, like conversations are happening, how we can capture the snippets where we can use it as a right, basically conversation analytics is also we are using. So a lot of good work is happening, but in the next 6 months or in 1 year, hopefully we will have a big applications of generative AI and we are measuring it also. The most important thing, we are measuring it. How the client, I'm not talking about conventional NPS, there are ways and means we do mystery shopping. I myself, pick up the phone and I call 100 customers, random basis. And then give me the experience, what is going right, what is not going wrong. But now this work is going to be done by machine.
Interesting. So that's the next frontier that you're trying to.
Yeah, this work is going to be done by machine. Till date, even till last month, I was doing it. This month,
but IVR calls sound like IVR calls, and we instantly
no, that is change. This month only we moved from conventional IVR, which is press 1 for this, press 2 for this, has moved to the conversational one, where you have to talk about whether you want a loan, and sometimes customers are very funny. Also, they ask the financial company, I want a mushroom soup. Okay, so that happened. I heard some of the calls. So, but machine is able to say, sir, please ask the financial question. How can I help you?
Right.
So those kind of things are there. Or earlier that conversation, so machine after 2 minutes, we talked about the waiting time and the impact to the economy and the time loss. That earlier used to take 2 minutes and you had to press 9 to go to the main menu, and then I'm just giving one of the example, how the machine is helping us.
So you are reducing that time as well.
Yes.
But look at this, what he's saying. So that opportunity that came to the customer's experience, that I want a mushroom soup, is an opportunity for Aditya Birla to at least contemplate, capture that information, put it in your experience zone, make sure that, hey, if everybody wants it, maybe I want to loan for mushrooms.
True. That's what machine does.
New revenue streams coming up.
And actually, it's the revenue stream, because most people have always looked at customer support from a cost perspective.
Yeah.
You can start looking at it from a revenue
No, we use
perspective.
it. We use it both ways. I have a great point, Vishal. We use it both ways. So service to sales is encouraged a lot, because if you treat customer as a king and you treat in real sense, then customer most likely will be your customer and always give you an opportunity next time.
Right.
And so that is also very important.
Right.
Brother, if I can just add that,
Please.
because you mentioned the word trust, and even if it is in the lending business, actually we are the one who are trusting money in the hand of a borrower, right? So the trust is actually moving or getting transferred from a lender to the borrower.
Right.
Despite that, when it comes to the financial matter, the borrower wants to be very sure that I am given an advice with basically with an absence of bias. I think which is where AI is helping, because when you speak to a human agent, it is quite likely that the experience that human agent had at home or in the morning or a prior interaction with the boss, etc., is bound to creep into that conversation, whether you like or not.
Right.
Whereas AI is going to do that with an unbiased view, and which is where a trust is kind of ensured.
Is AI always unbiased? Because that's a conversation that's around the world right now, that, how do we ensure that AI models don't end up having biases? We ensure that when it comes to gender, race, religion, whatever, what have you, we do not let any kind of biases enter the conversation when you're training a model. And how do businesses then responsibly ensure that whatever they are teaching to the machines is ethical and unbiased?
So we are in business of manufacturing intelligence. I think manufacturing intelligence is upon us. It's encoded in tokens, which is also the numbers. And numbers are based on yours and my domain experience, what people call as data. And how we manipulate that data, how we apply that data, how do we blend that data, how do we munch that data, is an extremely important aspect of it. What we need to remember, AI is in the loop, humans are around it. And therefore, to assume that no bias will enter is a difficult proposition. And that's why it is so critical that we bring in guardrails into it.
Very true.
So we need to embody the value, the culture, the common sense, the sensibilities of everything that we do. And the uniqueness of his company, Aditya Birla, is very different than the uniqueness of L&T. And each of those have to be embodied into the digital species. And once we start doing that, the co-working of these two aspects is going to really serve the purpose. So I would encourage that everybody needs to really think about it, how your digital pipelines are built, how the data sets are built. If we get that comprehension right, then the workflows, how the workflows are applied with guardrails, and then really comes whether we have a bias or not a bias. And at the end of the day, humans do have a bias.
Absolutely. And when Gen AI enters this equation, how does that change the game, especially for the customer experience and engagement piece?
Right. So what generative AI is doing is that it's basically giving you a new content. And that new content is built on the experiences without really going into the system and doing it. So in 60 years of computing, all our investment is gone in storing our experiences and retrieving that experience on timestamps depending upon what needs to be done. What generative AI is now doing is that it has that experience and is responding to you, to your prompts. And based on your prompts and what you have built is in place. So a lot of people are now talking about, oh, a great generative AI model basically hallucinates. But when you have very intelligent students coming out of school and they do answer you beautifully, don't they get stumped when you ask them difficult business questions?
Right.
Don't those who come from colleges get stumped when you have to get them engaged in your businesses? Don't PhDs that come out get stumped when it is there? You still have to bring them into your system. So how do you take your systems and connect to this really youth, very smart, so-called Einsteins, and basically learn to work with them, and more importantly, prompt them in the direction which is positive. So you can surround yourself with smart things and smart people, but you also got to be smart to leverage them.
Right. So you've beautifully humanized technology for us. Is AI in school right now or college?
Indeed. I mean, slowly, people are already talking about it and they're doing a good job. The teachers are trying to figure out whether this was an AI done work or is it a student done work. But I'm looking at it very differently from the context of India. So we got some really brilliant tutors. Why can't this 250 million Indians that are going into the school get access to the best tutors? And that best tutors are going to only happen if the curriculum, the teaching methodologies gets encoded and multiplied for them. And then pretty much that child who probably resides in Bathinda and speaks that Punjabi, Hindi with a little bit of English has access to the same knowledge, and he blossoms. And then you suddenly have tier 2, tier 3 cities bringing in many, many Dhonis into our world.
Wonderful.
Okay, well, we are digressing a little from customer engagement, so I'm going to bring us back to the topic at hand. And Melissa, ServiceNow's report reveals a $55 billion economic loss for India due to slow customer service last year. Now, give us some practical tips that businesses can take to reduce this loss and really drive up productivity using AI.
Yeah, I think the promise of self-service hasn't really hit the mark, and that's what the promise of Gen AI is in the context of customer self-service. And so companies really need to put that right so that Indians are not wasting time being put on hold and spending 37 hours a year of their life trying to solve mundane customer service issues that can be automated. So we've been speaking a lot about some of the great use cases in some of the organizations here. In reality, there are still many organizations that you fill out a form or you send an email to try and get a resolution. We need to move past that and put the power in the consumers and the customers, where you can actually resolve lots of different answers to your questions. You can actually service different requests. We've worked with one of India's largest credit rating agencies, and they're a good customer of ours, and they've transformed their customer experience by really providing self-service around their credit and analyst reports and ratings documents. They've also put precise categorization driven by AI and portal catalogs so that they can deflect all of this and route it to the right resources in their organization to provide timely information.
Oh, that's good to know. And Raju, while we are on this topic of slow resolution times, of course, that really impacts every business. How are you using AI to streamline operations internally to reduce delays in customer support, particularly in areas like maybe loan processing, or when it comes to resolving issues, there are claims of fraud, etc. So where does AI step in and help your workforce then?
So I can begin by concluding that it is the biggest differentiator. And I will tell you why. When it comes to the regulated entity, all the regulated entities, be it banks or non-banks, they are kind of prescribed in the form of regulations by the central bank, Reserve Bank of India. So your ability to innovate a product instantly it gets copied actually. You invent some product, in a Ziffy you will find almost all banking and non-bank companies copying it very fast. Rate of interest depends on basically your cost of fund. So that also beyond a point is not really a key differentiator. So you will find the product being uniform across all entities. You will find the rate of interest also quite in the same range. So therefore the turnaround time becomes the biggest differentiator. And the turnaround time, and I gave you that example in the beginning of 1 week to basically 2 to 3 minutes, is not just something only in the underwriting space. Everything, the customer comes on a horse literally. That's what we funnily talk. I mean, you will agree with me. So everyone wants that particular answer. be it whether my loan is sanctioned, and if it is rejected, why, what are the reasons. If I have come with any kind of a service request, the service requests will span in many areas. They want a repayment schedule, they want a no due certificate, they want to know what is the balance of their loan, they want to know what are the new offers that I can get on my existing loan. All these areas, basically the turnaround time becomes the key differentiator, and hence having an AI tool supporting in each of these stages of the cycle becomes important. Right. I would not really say that we are up there in each of these cycles, but I can tell you that every cycle we have introduced AI into this system, and not just we, almost all key or the marquee banking and lending companies in India have introduced AI in each of these cycles.
Right. And CR, when it comes to internal inefficiencies or slower response times, a lot of it really happens because there are communication challenges within the system, there are inefficiencies at different parts of the business. So what are the critical tech infrastructure investments that are recommended? How can these help streamline AI, provide faster, more reliable output and customer service?
Basically, if you see, I think in infrastructure is dependent on various things. Suppose I talk an example of a telecom. Telecom, I think you'll have a backbone. Your fiber is running, I think, throughout India, all around. And because of the infrastructure activities, road and all, always there'll be some fiber cut here and there. See, the problem for a customer is how fast you resolve the issue. What is customer service? Customer, why is he coming? Particularly in infra. Because when there is a downtime, you want to know what has happened. That is the time I think when a faster resolution will keep the customer happy. A constant communication has to happen. Of course, I think with ServiceNow and all, because the ticketing tool is there, everything is recorded there. Previously, I think we used to have some issues here and there, where customer says that I think I did not get any information, I did not see your mail. Now with this tool, I think at least everything is captured in one place, people can have. Number two, when it comes to again data center, it's a different problem. There also everything is uptime. People want to know, I think absolutely there should not be even a loss of redundancy there, particularly in a data center. Yeah. So customer asks a different, that's the reason I think each of these things, how to address this. So we have done something in our telecom, because I think you have different domains. You have one customer domain is there, you have wireless domain is there, you have backbone. So all these things are integrated. Whenever there is some complaint or something from a customer, the first level of troubleshooting we have incorporated into all these 4 domains. Now the first level troubleshooting, I think it is done by AI. Immediately we'll come and answer, this is where it has happened. The resolution time is so and so. Immediately we can act on it and close it. Nice. Like in data center, I think yes, we are introducing something. We are working with one Bay Area, one partner, by name called Agent. There, I think we are doing some predictive things. How to optimize the cost, how to improve the efficiencies. Finally, end of the day, customer looks only at what is the efficiency, 100% uptime, and a better PE.
Correct.
That's what it is.
Okay, Nikesh, bringing you into that as well, at Aditya Birla Finance, when it comes to internal efficiencies and also when it comes to augmenting the human potential, because that's what AI is supposed to do. What are the impact metrics that you are tracking, and is there large displacement of humans in the customer service area yet?
Not really as of now. But I think we are in this journey for the last 8 to 10 months. So but I think they will complement each other. My belief is so on. AI will help us in a big way. So we are working on a project where I will able to tell my agent that 10 of the calls you did right. For out of the 10, 4 calls you did right. 3 calls you need training, and the agent B has done good job. Please go through that 1 minute snippet, and you can learn it. And that will be used as a learning tool. So, and which will be, next day. So it's not like, after one, normally what happens, people have a quarterly training calendar or, those kind of a thing. So it is going to help in a big way. We're going to measure it also. Like what Raju talked about, how the AI is also AI or digitization let me put it in a bigger perspective. It is helping us. We are having a live dashboard.
Yeah.
I would be knowing at any point of time where the ball is there and who is holding it and how long they're holding it. And if they're holding it for long, someone will send a, message will come, the ways and means, to move the ball on. The other thing, I just want to add what Melissa was talking about, self-service. We are using self-service in a big way. So we are working on a project. Every client call will be considered as a defect in the system. Is it defect in the system? Why client is calling me? So we need to look at something must be gone wrong in the design. Our communication is not right. So we need trying to work on this. It is just a start.
Right.
As of now, my self-service is around 60%. Okay, but I think we can move up to about 85-90%. Okay, but there are certain nuances. What Raju spoke about through the regulations. Everything can't be digitized. Like we are in a secured, we are in a business. Like shares are in a in a digital form.
Right.
We call it dematerialization. Property papers are still not dematerialized. So customer has to come to the branch. So bearing few examples, customers should not visit us. It is any channel, whether WhatsApp, chatbot, IVR, email. Why they are writing it? So we are using this as a
if they
metric.
visit you, then that's an escalation.
So my client experience ahead is, hates me for that. When I say these are the defects. When you talk about, so many, interactions are happening, it's going up. So it makes me worried. Interactions are going up, either we introduce a new product, something design issue, process improvement. So I look at it as an opportunity why client is calling me. That is, I hope I answered your question.
That's a very interesting way to look at it. Melissa, your top advice to enterprises that are looking for streamlining internal processes and communication in particular to deliver faster customer service?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked a lot about customer service, and if I think about how organizations have invested, most people started with the front door for customer service agents and put a ton of money in there, but they've missed out the messy middle. And what I mean by that is all the coordination that happens between the different functions and departments in the organization. That's really the area that needs to be solved and move the needle. And obviously that's the area that ServiceNow, looks at in terms of connecting front office to middle office to back office, using AI, using automation, using data, having all the integrations into your existing systems in your organization. So, we've got a ton of different customer examples. I think we were talking about loans over here, an example where, where you're actually creating new loans or, and really being able to automate that whole process.
Okay.
I mean, I do not know whether you already have a question on that. The point which you mentioned, I think the involvement from the human agent, especially it will depend on the business that you are involved in. If you are involved in the business of, let's say, lending, and if it happens to be, as Nikesh talked about, the loan against title deeds of the property, believe you me, no borrower or a customer is going to be happy with what the chatbot is going to respond. Yes. He wants to hear that person, human voice, even if it is biased, so be it. He wants to hear, yes, your title deeds are with us.
Yeah.
That comfort coming from the human voice versus coming from the chatbot, despite the fact that it is the most trustworthy and an unbiased one, would be slightly undermined. So what you are saying from there, basically, eventually, we will have to increase the pie of the chatbot-led service areas, no doubt about that. But there would remain a small cohort. There would remain a small portion where a high value or the more complex one, or if I have to add the word more psychological one, that would remain for the human agent.
That's 100%. I mean, freeing up time so that the customer service agent can actually spend more time on the complex issues as well as talk to people.
Very true. Very true.
But if I may, based on what you were saying, so technology has taught us that human behaviors change. Human behavioral changes the business model. So just lending on what you're saying, if the regulation allows you that if the digital species has given you a comfort that represents your organization and accept it, then the psychology will change. Just like in yesteryears, you needed a physical signature, but today you get a digital signature. You value both those signatures equally. So it's also the evolution. And I guess the psychology intersects with that evolution.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Raman.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Good
that's well
point.
said. That's well
Yeah,
said.
and I think, see, it also to do with the decision makers.
Exactly.
Mostly the decision makers in corporates or in companies happen to be mostly between the age 40 to 55.
Correct.
Now, this is the generation who has come from the
Pre-internet,
years, let's say,
pre-internet era.
archaic technology versus the language of AI and ML. It's a basically push-pull from both the sides. People will evolve. 10, 15 years down the line, you will find a generation who is native digital generation.
Exactly.
For them, it would be absolutely comfortable. But people of, let's say, a generation who has kind of used their signature on each page and initials on each alteration or addition, they are signing, but with a bit of circumstance.
I agree. I agree what Raju said. You know, I remember there was I can't name the client, obviously. There was a client. We told him, why you are taking physical checks. It's about 5-6 years back. He said, no, I need it. I said, why? You are taking 100 checks every week for a supply chain finance product. I can make the payment digital, electronic and very fast. Your supplier will be also happy. No,
The
I
trust was
don't
not
want
there.
supplier to be that happy. He said, I want supplier to come to me and then I will take the check and I will renegotiate for the next deal. I said, okay, this is at a different level.
We've evolved a
And this is a
long way
different
from
level.
then, haven't we?
That's a human excitement.
There's no one
Yeah,
excited.
Humanity
You see, when
is
I will
such a
give him the
exciting
check,
thing.
and then at that time I'll tell him, you are getting checks on time, and you are doing good business. Why not we negotiate a better
Yeah.
deal or better rate for the next transaction?
Well, okay. So lots of interesting thoughts and examples from all of you. Let's also shift gears a little bit and talk about prediction and predicting consumer behavior, because that is as essential today. We are not just meeting needs, we are anticipating the consumer's needs. And Vishal, if I may come to you now, NVIDIA's innovations, of course, drive AI at scale. Give us a sense then, how can AI-driven predictive analytics powered by your technology help businesses really preempt what the consumer of tomorrow wants? And in a country like India, what is the biggest challenge? Because we are a multi-generational economy. We are very, very diverse. Our culture changes, our language changes, our preferences change every few hundred kilometers. How are businesses navigating this?
I think that's a great preface. And the way I think about it, India is a land of opportunity as far as this change is concerned. I say it on 3 pivots. Number 1, the whole computing fabric that makes societies and industry is at a reset. And a new one is in play. And that basically allows India to adopt the new computing platform fabric. What we need to remember is that all of us are used to a fabric that was created in 1960s. Is the same fabric that has continued till today. We went from mainframes to mini computers to PCs to even the smartphone in our pocket is exactly the same architecture. It is for the very first time that architecture is changing, and it's changing at a time that when India can afford it and build on it. This fabric will have to translate itself into AI factories. Remember, I'm not saying data centers. Data centers are the places where you do storing. Anything where you store is where you expense. Wherever there's factory, you talk about revenue. Anything that generates revenue is prosperity. And therefore, we are at the brink of that. Second thing is that because of this fabric, every single element is shifting. You're moving from CPUs to GPUs. You're moving from instructions to intuition. You're moving from retrieval to generative. And because of that mode, you're also breaking away from those who had great access to the language of computers, those who could afford to build that up, and that left a huge divide, those who couldn't afford it. But because you can now teach the computer in your native language, in your dialect, in the very way that I talk, and I believe my English is not most profound or correct, but there is a way that computer is able to learn that. Therefore, now it becomes a unification for that part, democratic for the entire society to take advantage. So that's the second advantage that India has, that you have the population, you got the skills that can work under the hood, and still allow the entire population to do it.
Right.
The third thing is that our nation has challenges which are mammoth. If our vision complies to the compute infrastructure with the researcher, we will now find mechanisms how we benefit the society. And this is truly our moment. And that's why I continue to say that gone are the times when we really need to think that if I want to wear a designer suit, should I think about Paris? If somebody wants to wear a wonderful sari, which is that house? The house of intelligence has to be India. This is opportunity India.
Right. Well, house of intelligence has to be India. Let me then come down to your respective businesses and how you are predicting consumer behavior and preparing for the consumer of tomorrow. Nikesh, at Aditya Birla Finance, again, you have a very diverse customer base. How are you using AI for, say, product recommendations, financial analysis, financial advice across generations, retail clients, corporate clients? Give us a few examples of how this shapes up.
I think we are using it in a big way. So first and foremost, we are in a financial company. The most important thing, what we use analytics, that return of capital and return on capital. So that means, we would like to know whether this client has the ability to pay the client and whether the client will make payment on time, because this is where we use the AI first. Secondly, we spoke about the customer experience. Third, the selection of product. Maybe customer may not be fitting for that particular product. The machine suggests, or we suggest, this product may not help you. We will be able to help you. The wealth management, we use AI in a big way. In terms of, we ask the customer, we have a risk profiling is done by the machine depending upon whatever the information is available, and then machine suggests, AI suggests, the system suggests this product will be good, suits your requirement, whether the customer is want to take on high return, low risk. So all those kind of things machine does. And one more thing, the system also helps the money to be collected, because at the end of the day, Raju spoke about the trust is one angle. When we lend money, important thing is we should get our money in time also. And that is also system machine helps that, customer is taking time, customer checks are getting bounced. That means customer has some challenges, all those kind of things.
And this is being done in the language that the customer understands?
We are working on that direction. We are working in that direction. Okay. Very, very honestly.
Okay. And I know that you are working in that direction as well. So about 12 different languages that you're catering to.
Yes. So it all depends on the business that you are involved in. And just before this session commenced, Melissa, and we were talking about India being divided into an India and Bharat. So you have basically customers coming from rural India, and then you have basically the urban folks. It was a perception that urban customers would be far more comfortable, let's say, with an artificial intelligence-led communication tools. That myth, and I'm using the word myth, is already shattered by the people staying in Bharat. So we have close to 30 to 40% of the people in rural India who have access to the smartphone. As soon as you have an access to the smartphone, then it's just a question of time when you will get used to those features. Just a question of time, actually. And you beautifully spoke about the teachers being able to teach the entire nation. I think the revolution that is happening on these shorts and the videos on the YouTube and in Instas of the world is actually making everyone quite conversant with the smartphone features. And that is where we have been in a position to basically push some of our features through these creatives. They are sometimes in the audio as well as in the video form to basically enrich or enhance customers' knowledge. Coming back to the specific area, and I think they spoke about it, when it comes to the customer selection, that is very important for a lending company. Because no amount of interest income can compensate the credit loss that you will make. It's just to give you an example, because you mentioned in the beginning, one should give an anecdote. No amount of basically physical training can compensate a bad diet if you want a great body. So it's equivalent of that actually. So the credit loss is estimated today with the help of AI tools at a very massive scale. What we do, we go and take the customer base which we have underwritten in, let's say, 1 year, 2 year or 3 year period of a time, and we find out the behavioral traits. And with those behavioral traits, we find out which kind of a behavior, that is the analysis which we will do with the help of AI tools, will lead to the customer becoming a defaulter. That helps us then to select our future customer. So just to give you one example, I will conclude with that. It is generally understood that if you are giving a personal loan to a person who also happens to have a home loan, the chances of him defaulting on his personal loan is almost zero. So just one example. Now this is the insight, that's the word which you had used earlier, that comes from this analysis.
So, but what have your experiences with conversational AI or chatbots been like? Where are you in that journey? You know, Melissa was saying that there is a growing preference for self-service now. So, what are some of the insights you're deriving from that?
We are investing in it, and we are basically somewhere in the nascent stage of that journey. At this time, it has started with the text format.
Right.
I guess we will reach there very soon.
Right. What about you, Nikesh?
I think I will rate, we are at around 6.5 out of 10. But I think next 8 to 10 months, because we are taking it a very big way. One text, chatbot, you know, data to analytics, speech. Like as of now, my iWare support 12 languages. But you know, at times I feel that it's not required. You know, as you said very rightly, after every 10, 15 kilometers, the language changes, at least in our country. So that will get supported, in the next few months. One of the example, like customer wants to write, as of now, we insist somehow that the customer should write in, English, right? Emails. But, later customer can write in any language, it will get converted into English and it get responded back into the language which customer has written. So all those kind of things are going to happen soon.
Right. So
If
a lot
I
of,
may just,
yes.
I think there's a beautiful point all of them are constructing, and we possibly haven't articulated it fully. Because in the world of AI, you are on a continuous learning. The flywheel of customer experience is capturing each experience, recording it, feeding it back. You're always up with your learning, and each time you're getting better and better and better. And I think the message that Nikesh is trying to give you is exactly the same. Start somewhere, it'll keep adding to it. You're learning continuously, and you're serving that much better.
Right. Right. Well, absolutely. CR, coming to you now, about 66% of Indian consumers are now trusting AI for customer service. So how should enterprises then balance AI-led automation with the human touch? And we touched upon that a little bit earlier, high value or complex issues, yes. But is there a segment of the population that still really just wants to talk to a human?
I think so. When it comes to medical, I think 95% you need human touch. Suppose someone says that when a robotic surgery will happen, without a doctor speaking to you, no one will go there. See, even I don't think that any regulation or anything, it will change the mindset. To answer your thing. See, what you said about the documentation, 100% correct. When it comes to medical help and all, still, I think a human touch is required.
That's why AI is always going to be in the loop. Human has to be there.
Human has to be there.
So we are augmenting the humans.
So that is one area.
And it's oh, sorry, you keep going.
Yeah, please.
No, you keep going. I was going to say, like, there's a lot of discussion around whether people are going to lose their jobs. Well, if you're not adopting the technology, you might lose your jobs. But every technology shift, everything's evolved. Before there were traffic lights, policemen used to direct the traffic. Now they're doing speeding tickets. Like everything evolves with the technology.
Absolutely.
I mean, if I were to just, this is something which is inspired from some quote from a book actually. The worry that people had earlier, that the technology basically would be exploiting them. Now the real worry is not about exploitation. The real worry is that you will be made redundant. So we have to go with his advice. It's basically case for you to coexist. So augmentation of a human being with the help of a technology, where basically, of course, technology is not going to rely on you. Technology is created by you, but human has to rely on it actually.
Absolutely.
And if you get that augmentation done in a nicer way, then there is a scope for basically both existing together.
Right. All right. So we're completely out of time, but I want to give 30 seconds to each of you to tell me that what is the next frontier of customer experience that really excites you, customer experience that is perhaps going to be transformed by AI in ways that we can't imagine at this point. So do some crystal ball gazing, think creatively, and tell me what is it that you think is most exciting for you about the future of customer service in the Indian context. Nikesh?
So I would like that, be able to resolve everything within 1 hour. So I think, but it's a big challenge as of now. The kind of regulatory regime we have in India, it's not that easy, So to give you a perspective, the regulator says, you have to resolve customer queries in 30 days. So we are saying, with the help of machine and obviously, augmented support from human beings, it will be 1 hour, 2 hours kind of a thing.
All right. So resolution time going down. What about you, Vishal?
I feel that we'll be able to talk to our data in real time, in the modality, in the dialect that we want all the time.
So literally the data is also going to be another human by our side,
Exactly.
assisting us all the time. Melissa?
Yeah, similar to Vishal, like hyper-personalized experiences in the way that I actually want to communicate. Don't have to talk to a human if I don't want to. If I do want to talk to a human, if it's a doctor, I certainly want to talk to a human, then I get the choice. And it all happens fast.
In a jiffy.
In a jiffy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wish is, I think I don't want, customer, absolutely I don't want to interact anything. I think I don't want him to say anything to me. I want the infrastructure to be 100%. But only thing what I do is, every month I'll send him the reports. 100% uptime, it should be there. How I do it with AI, it all depends on how you keep your infrastructure up. Customer, no calls from the customer, no ticket from the customer is the best news.
Wow. Wouldn't that be an ideal world?
That's an ideal world.
Okay, I think you planted a seed in my mind. So let me go into utopia. For me, the basically pursuit of happiness. Customer should be doing everything that he is supposed to do. That is, he should be playing his sport, watching whatever he wants to watch. He is drinking his favorite beverage. He is playing his favorite sport, playing his best instrument, and everything else is taken care of by technology.
That would be ideal, wouldn't it? Well, thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you, Melissa, for joining us here today on the COO Collective and for your absolutely brilliant and very engaging ideas. It's clear that AI is not just a tool for efficiency, it's a driver of innovation. By predicting customer needs and personalizing experiences in real time, businesses can stay competitive and create deeper and more meaningful conversations and relationships with their customers. The future of customer experience is proactive, not reactive, and AI is the key to unlocking it. Thank you so much for joining us here on this special conversation today. Until next time, goodbye.
Forbes India and ServiceNow present the COO Collective.